Hey, here's a little walk down memory lane for you. Anybody remember last summer when Aetna, the health insurance mega corporation, told everybody that it was pulling out of most of its Obamacare health exchanges around the country because it was just losing too much money? Anybody remember that? It was a huge deal at the time. A lot of people said this proved that the Affordable Care Act wasn't working. It led to the overall era of disaster around that program and probably swayed a few votes toward Donald Trump, and in so doing altered the destiny of the country, as so many small factors did in this last election. You remember that story? Well, it turns out to be a total lie. Now, it's not me that's saying that. It's a federal judge. Our friend Michael Hitzik, who writes for the Los Angeles Times, wrote about it. Mike writes that it was a federal judge has ruled that this was a rank falsehood, to use Michael's words. In fact, the judge, John D. Bates, said Aetna made the decision at least partially in response to a federal antitrust lawsuit that blocked its proposed merger with Humana. Now, that merger with Humana would have created a $34 billion corporation, a health insurance supergiant. Why is this a big deal? It's a big, and by the way, it could be back on the books again as a result of Trump's election. Why is this a big deal? It's a big deal for a couple reasons. One is we already have a few giant corporations running our health insurance system, and in certain states there's a virtual monopoly already. I mean, you take Alabama, where urban health coverage is 90%, 86 or 90%, Blue Cross of Alabama. It's one of the reasons why I always kind of chuckle when people say they don't want single-payer health care in this country. When you look at the market dominance, city by city and state by state, of the big corporations in this country, we already have single-payer. It's just private sector single-payer, and this merger would have made it official. Now, Aetna had kind of threatened the Justice Department in its own oblique way that it might turn around and retaliate. And in fact, it's turning out that it kind of did retaliate. That's part of what this was about. Now, look, if there's a lesson to be learned from all of this, it surely is this. Number one, a neoliberal economic solution that uses not only private corporations, but demonstrably greedy and selfish private corporations to deliver something that is a human right is always going to be messy, complicated, and difficult to defend. It's always going to leave you vulnerable to the blackmail of the greedy, which is what we saw in the Aetna case. Number two, if you're going to compromise with Republican ideas, which is what the Affordable Health Care Act originally was, you better make the Republicans own some of the blame for it. And number three is this. If people aren't happy with what the private sector is doing for them, which is very much true of our health insurance system, then Democrats should stand up and offer something different and better. People love Medicare just as they love Social Security because those government-run systems work. So it is time for the Democrats to say, restore the Affordable Care Act so that we can keep moving on down the road to a system that really works. And that system is called Medicare for all.